Hello, everybody. This is Susan Heaton-Wright, and I'm absolutely delighted to introduce Suzy Moody. Now, I've known Suzy for a few years within the network, in the business network in Hertfordshire, and I have always been drawn to her energy, her integrity, and also the work that she does tirelessly for a local charity, which is Hertfordshire HomeStart. So welcome, Suzy.
Wow, that's a welcome and a half. Well, thank you, Susan.
That's my pleasure. You deserve it. So, Suzy, can you tell the audience a little bit about HomeStart Hertfordshire?
Yeah, so we've been HomeStart Hertfordshire for the last 5 years. Previously, there were lots of individual schemes that were across the county, and we had some funding withdrawn. And so what we did is merged with 6 of those schemes. So we've been HomeStart Hertfordshire for 5 years, covering the county, majority of the county. And we provide support to families who've got young children who are finding life really tough. Being a parent anyway has its really difficult days. I don't think there's anyone that could sit there and say, no, it's a breeze. But for the families that we support, they're often struggling with issues. Sometimes it's just, they've got 3 children under 5, which is, enough. And for some other families, they're trying to manage mental health issues, or a child or a parent with disability, domestic abuse. Families come to us where they've had a historic experience and it's affected them, obviously, and their children. And families who've had multiple births, which in Hertfordshire is not unknown and not infrequent, because I think it's the county that's got the highest multiple birth rate in England. So we've got a few lucky parents who've got 2 or 3 in one go. So yeah, and our support really is very much about, the aim of the charity is to give every parent the support they need so that they can give the child the best start in life. And what we know is if a child has the best start in life, then it means that their future outcomes are much more positive, and they're more likely to succeed and be healthy and be happy, and good sort of members of society as they grow up. So it's very much an early investment in supporting parents, and it's delivered. We've got a team of, we've got at the moment around 85 volunteers. So they're volunteer mentors who we've trained up. They're all parents, because we kind of feel that in order to empathise and really sort of understand where the parents are at, it's one of those things that, having been a parent, you're able to do that a little bit better. And so we've got a range of models of the support that we provide. So our core work is for the families. The volunteer mentors each be matched with a family, and they'll go and visit the family at home and provide that one-to-one support. And they'll go every week for a couple of hours, which is something that there's not another service that provides that amount of consistency in terms of the contact, but also the regularity. And that sort of 2 hours, 3 hours enables them to really get to know the parent, build a really good, strong, trusted relationship with the parents. Yes. And the children, and then work out with the parent what the best way forward is and how they're going to help them. So an example of that would be where we've got a family who's got a child with additional needs, and the parent finds it really hard to go out and do a shop in the supermarket because the child's oversensitised. Yes. And the stimulus is too much, and there's likely to be a meltdown, and that's hard for mum, and she feels judged, and people look at her, and you can just imagine, if you're not in that situation, you can imagine it's pretty awful. But the volunteer can go with her and do that shop each week and help her to learn strategies to keep herself calm, help her to learn strategies to keep her child calm, help her in terms of just literally coaching her with, it's fine, let him do it. Doesn't matter if people are watching. Just that, constant sort of voice on her shoulder almost, or his shoulder, to say, you can do this, you've got this, the world will not end. If it's that bad, let's go and we'll try again another day. And that's, it's really basic support, but it is actually really life-changing for some families. So we also have a number of groups across the county, so family groups, and they've been really, really good for families where they felt isolated and anxious. They don't know anybody around them. They're not involved in the community. They don't feel confident perhaps to go to another organisation or a baby and toddler group, because again, with having that volunteer mentor, they can literally go with them, go to the group, walk in with them. It's holding their hand to build up the confidence, and then the volunteer can step back. They know the group and they're familiar, and they've accessed something which is really valuable. And for the children, just to have that space to play with other children, to be safe. Some of them don't have a lot of space at home or garden area, so there's so many benefits for the group as well.
That's incredible. Now, I didn't know about all of those things that you do. It's absolutely incredible. And if anybody is watching this live and wants to leave a question, please feel free to do that, because the conversation will be more interesting than my questions, I'm sure. Now, I heard in the last couple of months that the government was going to be giving lots of money to HomeStart. How is this working out?
Oh, well, I know there's been a big investment for family services and children and young people. It's not just so we support families with children under 5, so it's not just for us or for our families, and we have seen a fair bit go to sort of young people.
Yes.
There are various government pots that have been sort of allocated to local government and local councils around sort of poverty, fuel poverty, and food issues. We've not had a significant amount of funding or seen any funding grants out there at the moment for this, and I'm not quite sure, to be honest, on the distribution of the funds and how that's working. But there are some other government pots that are coming out if we, do have parents that specifically need that support. So quite a lot of the local borough council and district councils have had grants out for us that we've applied for and been successful. And one of them, actually, St Albans District Council, provided funding for us to set up a group just last month for families in St Albans, which we've not had before. So at a local level, there's funding coming through for specific areas, really.
That's incredible. And when I think St Albans, I think affluent area. Yes, I can see from your face that, and yet there is a need.
There is, because things like, being a parent and then dealing with a mental health issue or terminal illness affects you emotionally. And because you are maybe considered to be affluent, or you have a nice house or the car or the whatever, that doesn't mean you're any more emotionally able to cope with that. So, yes, we have families who are socially disadvantaged and in poverty, but we have a lot that aren't, and finance isn't their issue, but other things are. And I kind of, when you say that, because it's one of the real key messages that we've kind of gone out to help people understand. It's not your typical family that you think is the one that's suffering. It's your neighbour, it's potentially your manager, it's potentially your staff, it's anybody. And certainly, I mean, in St Albans, there are 2 areas in St Albans which are within the lowest 20% of the index of deprivation. And that is quite a surprise, because you've got your affluent and then you're very unaffluent almost. But those are the pockets of deprivation, and that's across, it's across Hertfordshire. There's quite a few areas in Hertfordshire that are within the lowest 10%, and some really needy areas. And I mean, the demographic across the county is just, from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Yes. Really interesting. Now, I've got a message here from Loretta Lingite. I hope I pronounced your surname correctly. She says, amazing work, Suzy Moody. No doubt every new parent would benefit from such a practical insight and advice. How do you get the message across to new parents? Or is that too big a one? Oh, here's the question. Thank you, Loretta. what do you currently do, and how everyone could help to reach out to many more families that would benefit from your service? Brilliant question. Thank you, Loretta.
Thank you. There's about 3 questions in
I know
there.
it is.
So first one, you might have to remind me of the others. So the first one, how do we get the message out there? I mean, that's really crucial because people can't come to us if they don't know about us.
Yes.
We're very active on our social media posts, social media platforms. We do press releases about events and certain, topical articles and interest. We are always getting people to talk about us in the places they work, in the places that they live, in their community. We do presentations to organisations. We've done some to schools. We've done some to sort of the Rotary and Inner Wheel, those kind of organisations. We take every opportunity we can, and we've actually got HomeStart. So we're part of a federation almost. HomeStart UK sit above all of the schemes that are across the country and in other countries. And they've just recently secured a partnership for HomeStart with BT. And if you go on social media, you'll see that we've got, they've managed to get, for the 12 days of Christmas, a quote and an image of a child that's given a quote, and it's scrolling on the BT tower at the top. So, that's amazing in terms of the profile that gives us at a level of, we are still considered a small charity, even as an organisation. We're not up there with the Barnardos and Children's Societies yet. But, the value of that and having companies support us and give us that opportunity is brilliant. But on a lower scale with us as a local charity, one of the local charities as part of HomeStart, we have, proportionally the same kind of support from businesses and organisations that go out and champion us and raise money for us. It's really just trying to get everybody to talk about what we do, follow our social media and those kinds of things that are just easy to do but make a big difference.
So that's brilliant. So
right, next bit.
How could everybody reach out to more families that would benefit from your services? You've sort of answered it, but what could individuals do as well as organise?
We're always looking for volunteers. And as I talked about, we have the volunteer mentors, and they train for 6 to 7 weeks and do a course in order to get the skills and build confidence and knowledge that they need. But we also need volunteers to do other things sort of around the office, or helping, certainly at the moment, things like helping distribute Christmas presents is a big challenge. But things that mean we can give tasks to a volunteer, and it means that the staff don't have to use their time to do things, and can make sure every minute of their time is invested in family support or whatever the role is they have. So we're always looking for volunteers. The groups often need volunteers, and again, there's a short program of training for that to make sure that we've got the right people and everything's safe. So I think really it's everybody has the ability to talk to other people about it, and I think that's the most valuable thing, and that's how word of mouth is one of the most powerful sort of marketing tools, isn't it? And donations, of course, everybody can get involved in terms of donating on our website. We do receive quite a lot of donations of sort of practical things, which we have very little storage, so it's quite hard. But there are times when we have a family who maybe has fled an abusive situation and is needing somewhere to live and needs furniture or that kind of stuff, that there's the odd occasion where that would be something. There are kind of a lot of options.
Now, I know Loretta through the FSB in Hertfordshire. So Loretta, we'll have to discuss this, but maybe we could put this video up in the LinkedIn group in case any of the members would like to support the charity. If you are still watching, do let me know if that would be okay. Now, I know that why is it so important to discuss charity at Christmas?
I think I mean, Christmas is a real mixer. For some, it's extremely happy and fun and filled with, joy. And for others, it's actually a really, really difficult time. Specifically in terms of sort of from HomeStart, we do have the families who, are struggling financially and the pressure. And I think particularly when you have children, you want to give them the best. You want to make it the nicest Christmas. And we do find, quite a lot of our families push themselves to the limit, and come January, suddenly, they've overshopped and under budgeted, and things will get a bit pear-shaped. So it's just having that awareness around Christmas of sometimes the people who have the needs generally through the year are more in need, and those needs escalate and present more of an issue to them. I mean, we shut for 2 weeks through Christmas, and we have contact before and after, obviously, when we shut down. But we know that there are some families that are quite isolated, and for them that's a really big issue. For them over a period where they don't see a lot of people, because quite a lot people are in the house, they're doing their thing, more so now especially. So it's just that sort of heightened need that the Christmas sort of has for some people.
And I am intrigued, Suzy, what made you come into the charity sector? And I should apologise, I hope you can't see hear the background noise, which is the gardeners outside who always manage to choose the time with those Hoover things for the leaves, always when I'm doing a live or a webinar.
Adds to the ambience.
Can you hear it in the background?
There was a little noise in the background, but I'm used to sitting on Zoom calls with saws and hammers and things going on. So,
repeat the question again.
Right, yeah.
What made you go into the charity sector?
I think my whole kind of career has been opportunities have come up and I've taken them, and it's been like, oh, okay, that sounds good, I'll do it. Fundamentally, I'd always, since I was 20 and I started working at a residential home for young people who were in care, I'd always, up until now, worked with families and children who were in need, vulnerable, at risk, and worked my way through different departments of County Council in Buckinghamshire before I moved to St Albans, and worked with kids who weren't going to school, multidisciplinary teams with educational psychologists, and I had my own children somewhere within all of that as well, which kind of, it just really fueled my passion for, just seeing how important it was, and having started with working with children in care, just the damage that was done and the potential, how much it affected their potential going forwards and their outcomes. It's just really sad. And sometimes, they don't end up with their family for at no fault to the parent. The circumstance has dictated the outcome. But equally, that not having that family support and the people who should believe in you, not believing you, not really having anyone, they had a lot of issues. And it's something that I think probably was the thing that actually, really sort of gave me that passion. And further down the line, I then set up parenting service in Buckinghamshire, where it was very much like, okay, if we want to stop this cycle, which it generally is, of kids that end up in care and then go on to have children and then in care, and if we want to stop this, we've got to get in when the children are born. And that was what the parenting service was all about, delivering parenting courses and programs. Because by the time they're 13, 14, it's very, very difficult to make any significant change and help them learn different ways of behaving. And then I moved over here to be with my now husband, and did a bit of work in schools with parents and things. And then the opportunity came up, the job came up with HomeStart, and I'd never worked in a charity. I'd been in a different institution of local authority. And it kind of was there. It had the management bit of it, because we were just one scheme in St Albans, so it had management of the scheme, but also the caseload and the family work, and it had a bit of everything really. So it's kind of a no-brainer. But all of the things I've done have kind of been opportunities that have come up, and it's been the case of like, okay, I'll go for that. It'll be good. It's a bit of development and something different. So here I still am.
And you're doing an amazing job.
With a good team around me, though. It is about everybody. I mean, we,
Yes,
as I said, we've got our 85 volunteer mentors who just do a phenomenal job, and and that's all their own time that they give up. So everybody has a really key part to play in making it all come together.
So thinking about Christmas and people that might be listening either live or when this comes out as a podcast or as a vlog, how could people support your organisation?
I suppose, to be brutally honest, donations are the thing that are really valuable to us, because it means then we get the money in, we can then channel it through to where we have the biggest need. So if we know we've got, let's say we've got a number of families in a certain area that have suddenly come through to us and they need to access the group, and they're very isolated, very vulnerable, then it would be really good to know that the donations that come in can be channeled towards that, in terms of, making sure we've got the capacity in that group to take on more families. Or we've got other areas where we know there's quite a lot of need, sort of up Bishop Stortford way. And what we want to do is set up a group there. And so, donations that come in could be channeled to actually establishing a new group that would then, support 12, 15 families. And so it's really valuable. A lot of the funding that we secure when we go for grants and things, we have to stipulate a specific project or a specific number of families. So it's what we call restricted funding. So we can't just use that, say, oh, we've got a real need there, or we need another member of staff because we've got 10 more families, we need somebody else, we need some more resource to make sure the families are supported safely. And when the money is restricted from grants, we can't move that anywhere else. It's got to be spent on what we said in the grant. So donations are the thing that gives us a real flexibility to actually respond to the need at the time. And, what we want to make sure we do as well with any donors is be able to report back to them and get information to them, just to show how valuable their donations are and the difference that they make. Because ultimately, without them, our donors and our supporters, we couldn't do half of what we do.
Yeah. It's interesting what you said earlier on about the fact that you have only limited space to store things. Yeah. And I'm sure that people that are listening, myself included, thinking, what could I donate? Are there any old children's clothes that might be of value? But are they of value to you? Or are they the financial donations of higher value?
Yes, they are of higher value, the financial donations. I mean, we do have quite a lot of stuff that's sort of brought to us, or people that phone us, and really we're just not able to hold on to it. And what we do end up with is suddenly we've sort of got bags of stuff and we don't know sort of where to go with it. So we find it quite difficult to manage donations of sort of tangible things, and money wise, again, that means we could buy potentially a £20 gift card for a family to help them to get their school uniform when they go and do their Tesco shop, or that kind of thing, which is much more valuable. And the family can then use it for a range, whether it's food or school uniforms or just new clothes that they need for their children.
Now, I've had, and Loretta very kindly has made another comment. Great idea to seek businesses to invite HomeStart for a talk at a workplace. It fits nicely with the positive social impact, which is at the core of any sustainability ambition. I'm sure you do this, but what are your comments there?
Yeah, we're heavily involved with Herts Chamber and St Albans Chamber, and both of them have been so supportive of us in terms of sharing our message, reposting articles and bits that we've done, And we've made some really good links. I mean, particularly in St Albans, because that's where I was originally working, and I'd had that sort of 2 or 3 years building that up. We've got a lot of companies who do support us, and that's sort of with sponsorship for events, joining in with events, and generally kind of, you know, sometimes it's the non-financial things. So we've got Lee, who does all our designs for us. So we have nice professional looking leaflets and flyers and impact reports. And, you know, the time we get in kind from people, not necessarily about the money, but using other people's skills and experiences and them to donate that to us. So, you know, we can make things bigger and better, or, you know, sort of get training. There's always the opportunity for people in business to give us training. We have another company who, you know, does a lot of
tea. Thank you.
Is that tea? Have you just got tea? Excellent. Love it. You can't complain about being interrupted with a cup of tea, can you? Yeah, so we're very much wanting to build our relationships with corporates. We're wanting to try and get some bigger companies as well. We've got a lot of small to medium companies which have been fabulous, but we want to get into bigger companies as well. And that's one of the areas that certainly through lockdown really did take a dip, just because of not being out there, not doing the networking, not having the face-to-face. And, you know, when you're networking, you can kind of track down the people you know you want to talk to. Yes. And happen to sit next to them, or, you know, and you can do that. Whereas on Zoom, you've got who you've got on the screen, which is great, but you can't target people in the nicest possible way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're really looking to try and build up our corporate relationships and investment over the next year, because it's really quite dipped.
Okay. Certainly, I'm involved in the Welwyn Hatfield Chamber of Commerce, so I'm actually meeting our leader this afternoon. So I'll mention it to see if there's a way that we can
that would be great.
Even publicise it, because it's a different area. Before we finish, is there anything that you would like to share with the audience, with the listeners, about HomeStart and how we can support you?
I mean, I suppose the biggest thing is just sort of a thank you, because I would think if people are going to be watching this, they've got some interest at least in HomeStart. So thank you to, you know, all the people that support us, that help us out, that donate in any which way and however much. Because I think really a charity can't operate without a community around it. And we've got a fabulous community in Hertfordshire that are very supportive, are very invested, and, you know, a lot of well-meaning people. I suppose one of the things being a children's charity and supporting parents is there are a lot of people who have been parents and are still parents probably, who really understand or are in a position of saying, you know, gosh, I wish that was there when I knew about that when I had children. So I think really it's a big thank you. And if anybody, you know, wants to get in touch, wants to find out more, or just wants to have a chat about what we do, then, you know, pick up the phone. We're quite a friendly bunch. And I'm happy to talk to people. It's, you know, something that we like to help people understand what we do and how we do it, even if it's just for their own benefit and for them to talk to, you know, the sort of family next door or the person at work that they might have concerns about.
And can people donate? Can we we'll leave it at the end of this in the comment stream if anybody wants to donate.
Yeah, that would be fabulous. We do on our website, we have a big donate button, funny enough. So that's sort of a quick point of access, and that's just home-starthertfordshire.org will take you there. But yeah, and we can put the link into our donation page too.
Brilliant. Oh, thanks ever so much, Suzy. I've really, really enjoyed speaking to you. And I'm glad you enjoyed the idea of me having a live tea.
Yeah, definitely. This is the most we've spoken probably in about 18 months, isn't it?
It is, because we saw each other at the awards ceremony.
We did.
Congratulations.
And we were winners, weren't we?
Yeah, we were.
As well, yes. We all came out with our glass trophies that night.
Yeah, absolutely.
but no, thank you for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
Brilliant.
And just to share what we do.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And many congratulations for all of the excellent work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye, everybody. What I will do is that I will, when I've got the link, I'll put it in the comments, or if you're listening as a video or podcast, I will put a link for people to donate to this amazing charity. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Happy Christmas.